The Factories Act, 1948, Act No. 63 of 1948, Chapter 10, Penalties and Procedure, 92. General penalty for offences, save as is otherwise expressly provided in this Act and subject to the provisions of Section 93 if in or in respect of any factory there is any contravention of any of the provisions of this Act or of any rules made thereunder or of any order in writing given thereunder, the occupier and manager of the factory shall each be guilty of an offence and punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 2 years or with fine which may extend to 1 lakh rupees or with both, and if the contravention is continued after conviction, with a further fine which may extend to 1,000 rupees for each day on which the contravention is so continued, provided that where contravention of any of the provisions of Chapter 4 or any rule made thereunder or under Section 87 has resulted in an accident causing death or serious bodily injury, the fine shall not be less than 25,000 rupees in the case of an accident causing death and 5,000 rupees in the case of an accident causing serious bodily injury. Explanation. In this section and in Section 94, serious bodily injury means an injury which involves, or in all probability will involve, the permanent loss of the use of or permanent injury to any limb or the permanent loss of or injury to sight or hearing or the fracture of any bone, but shall not include the fracture of bone or joint, not being fracture of more than one bone or joint of any phalanges of the hand or foot. 93. Liability of owner of premises in certain circumstances. 1. Wherein any premises separate buildings are leased to different occupiers for use as separate factories, the owner of the premises shall be responsible for the provision and maintenance of common facilities and services, such as approach roads, drainage, water supply, lighting and sanitation. 2. The Chief Inspector shall have, subject to the control of the state government, power to issue orders to the owner of the premises in respect of the carrying out of the provisions of subsection 1. 3. Whereas any premises, independent or self-contented, floors or flats are leased to different occupiers for use as separate factories, the owner of the premises shall be liable as if he were the occupier or manager of a factory, for any contravention of the provisions of this Act in respect of I. Latrines, urinals and washing facilities insofar as the maintenance of the common supply of water for these purposes is concerned. A. Fencing of machinery and plant belonging to the owner and not specifically entrusted to the custody or use of an occupier, i.e., safe means of access to the floors or flats and maintenance and cleanliness of staircases and common passages. If precautions in case of fire. V. Maintenance of hoists and lifts, and V. Maintenance of any other common facilities provided in the premises. 4. The Chief Inspector shall have, subject to the control of the state government, power to issue orders to the owner of the premises in respect of the carrying out the provisions of subsection 3. 5. The provisions of subsection 3 relating to the liability of the owner shall apply wherein any premises independent rooms with common latrines, urinals and washing facilities are leased to different occupiers for use as separate factories, provided that the owner shall be responsible also for complying with the requirements relating to the provision and maintenance of latrines, urinals and washing facilities. 6. The Chief Inspector shall have, subject to the control of the state government, the power to issue orders to the owner of the premises referred to in subsection 5 in respect of the carrying out of the provisions of Section 46 or Section 48. 7. Wherein any premises portions of a room or a shed are leased to different occupiers for use as separate factories, the owner of the premises shall be liable for any contravention of the provisions of I. Chapter IE, except Sections 14 and 15. A. Chapter IV, except Sections 22, 23, 27, 34, 35 and 36, provided that in respect of the provisions of Sections 21, 24 and 32 the owner's liability shall be only insofar as such provisions relate to things under his control. Provided further that the occupier shall be responsible for complying with the provisions of Chapter IV in respect of plant and machinery belonging to or supplied by him, i.e., Section 42. 8. The Chief Inspector shall have, subject to the control of the state government, power to issue orders to the owner of the premises in respect of the carrying out the provisions of subsection 7. 9. In respect of subsections 5 and 7, while computing for the purposes of any of the provisions of this Act the total number of workers employed, the whole of the premises shall be deemed to be a single factory. 94. Enhanced penalty after previous conviction. 1. If any person who has been convicted of any offense punishable under Section 92 is again guilty of an offense involving a contravention of the same provision, he shall be punishable on a subsequent conviction with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 years, or with fine which shall not be less than 10,000 rupees but which may extend to 2 lakh rupees, or with both, provided that the court may, for any adequate and special reasons to be mentioned in the judgment, impose a fine of less than 10,000 rupees. Provided further that where contravention of any of the provisions of Chapter 4 or any rule made thereunder or under Section 87 has resulted in an accident causing death or serious bodily injury, the fine shall not be less than 135,000 rupees in the case of an accident causing death and 10,000 rupees in the case of an accident causing serious bodily injury. 2. For the purposes of subsection 1, no cognizance shall be taken of any conviction made more than 2 years before the commission or the offense for which the person is subsequently being convicted.